Yo, what it do? I don't know which platform you watching this on because I'm posting this everywhere. I'm trying to, I want people to know who I am. I want people to see me. This your boy Cortez. You can call me Tez. You can call me Tezo. Whatever floats your boat. This is Hot Dimes TV, where we bringing that heat and we keeping it 100. You feel me? I like that. This is my first podcast, y'all. Hey, I've been wanting to do this for a minute now, so everything ain't gonna be perfect. You know what I'm saying? Everything not gonna be ideal. But the thing is, I'm starting. So that's all that matters. I got the equipment good quality. I got the camera. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot that I need. So as we continue to grow, then, the upgrades. I don't know how to do all of this perfectly, but I know what I'm doing at the, the very least. So that was my introduction. I think it was fire. It's hard doing this by yourself, too. I ain't even got nobody with me. You see, I'm downstairs. It looked like I'm in a dungeon somewhere, don't it? But don't worry, ain't nobody got me locked up. I'm good. I'm free. This your boy, Tez. Welcome to Hot Dimes TV, man. So, hey, this going to be a podcast concerning sports. Like, I wanted to talk about, because I want y'all to learn a little bit about me. So, I love sports. Like, anybody that knows me know that I love sports. So, for me, podcast, this easy. This what I do. Everybody that's my boys, people in my family, when I was back in school, you know who to come talk to when you want to talk about sports. I ain't saying I know everything. I ain't saying I'm perfect. But most of the time, I think my takes are pretty good. It ain't even about it being good or bad. It's just about, I try my best to keep it 100, to keep it real. Like, don't let the media persuade you. Don't let what people say, twist you, and you can't believe everything. Of course, we only can go based off some of the reports that we see and get. But you know how the media like to do, just not in sports, just in general, where they take something and twist it, or they got like a favorite player or a certain team get more coverage. That's just the way it goes. So after saying that, let me let y'all know who my favorite teams is. So y'all see this logo right here. This the Bucks. We talking about NFL right now, though, so I ain't going to spend too much time on them. I'm a Packer fan. Cheesehead for life. Yes, sir. Cheesehead for life. And then the Lakers. Those are my main three teams. Because like I said, this is going to be a podcast where I'm talking about any and everything, literally, when it comes to sports. But it's going to be concerning basketball and football. So right now, since it's the football season, we just going to focus on football. But as you know, the podcast, as I continue to do this, as I keep going, y'all to learn, more about me and stuff like that. But I want y'all to know those are my three teams. Now, I enjoy a lot of other players and certain teams and stuff like that. But like I said, them Green Bay Packers, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Los Angeles Lakers, those are my teams. I had to, get that out there. What else I want to let y'all know? I'm going to be posting these podcasts probably Tuesdays and Wednesdays for sure, weekly, where we recap, all the games, because I don't like, that's why I told you all my teams. I don't like, if I focus on, the Packers, since we talking about football more, that's why, because I'm a Packer fan, so I might spend a little bit more time there, but I just didn't want to make a channel concerning the Green Bay Packers, because I like sports too much to talk about one team or one player. So I'm gonna give y'all everything. I might throw your team in there. If you got a question, if you got something you want me to answer, or you want to hear my opinion or my view on it, just go ahead and drop a comment. Go ahead and let me know. Send it to me, because I'll throw you in there next week. And speaking of next week, week 2, I'm gonna have a guest with me already. I'm gonna have a special guest, one of my boys. Man, our teams play this week, so we gonna jump into that later. So let's get right into it, man. Are the Bills the best team in the NFL? I think we can say that, right? That was because another thing I wanted to say before, hold on, let me back up. Another thing, I wanted to start this podcast before the NFL season started. So this is a quick little inspirational, message just to throw anybody watching this. Anytime you want to do something, man, and you set a goal, it's okay if you don't initially hit it right on time, right on that target when you said you wanted to do it. Like I said, I wanted to start it before the NFL season started. I was talking to my boys, because I stream as well. Like, I'm a content creator. I started streaming about 3 or 4 months ago. gaming. But since I love sports, I wanted to do this as well. I kind of like the sports over gaming. Y'all want to say that? Like, that's probably fair to say, but the streaming was, it's expensive. Excuse me. The streaming is expensive. So once I got that stuff, I'm like, okay, now I can focus on my podcast, because the podcast is actually easier to do. So I told them, a couple months ago, I wanted to start in the summer. Not the summer. Sorry, I got an Amber Alert on my phone right now. But I wanted to start, not in the summer. Before the NFL season started. But, we 2 weeks into the NFL season, and I'm starting now. So that's all that matters. Just because you set a goal and you might not reach it exactly, that don't mean you failed. That's just my message to anybody out there. That don't mean you failed. Just, you got to, your closest thing you have to do every day when you wake up. Of course, I know it's cliche, is to be better than the next. But it's not even that. It's really to just meet or exceed that goal, or come as close to it as you can. That don't mean you failed because it's not there perfectly, or you're not hitting it right on the money. So I just have to get that out there. I wanted to start a couple weeks ago. I'm only 2 weeks in. I'm only 2 weeks late. Black people, we kind of, we struggle with our time a little bit. But hey, I'm here now. I'm not going nowhere. Let's get it. We 6 minutes, man. I said 6 minutes, man. We're 6 minutes in. Now let's talk. Back to the Buffalo Bills. So, I'm sorry, I know I'm throwing a lot of info because I need y'all to understand me. I need y'all to, get an understanding of me and who I am and what I'm about right in the beginning. Like I said, I know it's going, along the way, it's going to come, even more. But I just had to throw that out there. So, my Super Bowl pick, as far as the team that I think will be in the Super Bowl, I said the preseason pick, since y'all didn't know, I got to tell y'all, was the Buffalo Bills and probably the Los Angeles Rams. Now, I think the Buffalo Bills are, like, overall, if I had to pick one team, I will go with them number one. And Josh Allen was my preseason NFL MVP pick. And you saw what them boys did to the Rams week 1, opening the NFL stadium. What was the score? Let me check that. Wasn't it 31-10? Yeah, 31-10 Thursday night. Them boys look unstoppable. Josh Allen, if you really want to be honest, for all my Bills fans that's watching, or my Josh Allen fans, the Bills should have been in the Super Bowl 2 years in a row, but they just couldn't get over that hump with the Kansas City Chiefs. And we know how that story went, especially the last one, 13 seconds. If you Josh Allen and you did what you just did, you're not thinking they're going to score 13 seconds. My heart went out to them boys. And I like both teams. I like both quarterbacks. So it's just like, this year, I think they get over the hump, though. I think for sure it's like a lock for them to go to the Super Bowl. So, and then they came out week 2. Who they just played last week? Who the Bills played last week? Then they played the Titans, right? Yeah. Oh, my gosh. So, week 1, they opened versus the reigning Super Bowl champs. I think that game was in Los Angeles, and they won 31-10. And then they turn around the second week and win 41-7. That's tough. So, hey, shout out to the Bills. They doing that thing. Now, on a funny moment, let's go ahead and slide with something that had me laughing. Now, Bears fans, y'all was doing all that talking because y'all won week 1. And y'all beat who did they beat week 1? The Niners. They beat the Niners. I'm doing a lot of this stuff off the top of my head, y'all, but because I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm saying. They beat the 49ers. The weather was horrible. Shout out to the Bears because that was a good win for them. It's the Niners. My Packers seem like they can't beat the Niners, but that's the story for another day. We're not going to harp on that too long. So they did their thing. And then they had to come to Lambeau week 2. It's not nothing to brag about because I'm not excited, or I'm not, what's the word? It's not convincing still, because that's just something Green Bay does. This is not me trying to take a slight. Trust me. Of course, I told you in the beginning, I'm a diehard Packers fan. That's my one NFL team. So it's like, of course, beating up on the Bears is amazing. I'm 27 years old. So I know the history with Chicago and the Packers flipped. So, like, right before I was born, the Bears were killing the Packers. But since, the last 2 decades with the Packers having Brett Favre, and then Aaron Rodgers, especially with the home. I said with the home, with the whole "we own you." That sentiment is true. Like his career versus the Bears is 22-5. Like he doesn't throw interceptions. He got the highest after last week's game. He got the highest passer rating versus any other team. Like any player that plays any other team, he got the record for the most versus another opponent. It's crazy. So it's like it was good to beat them because they was talking out the side of their neck a little bit. Like y'all really had hope that y'all was gonna win Sunday. No, even though the Packers not nowhere near where they need to be without Devontae, and that offense still. It's a little shaky. It was just good to get back on track. But, hey, my original thing was shout out to the Bears for, beating the Niners in week 1. But just calm down a little bit, okay? Just calm down. And since we're talking about the Niners, man, Trey Lance guy. See, this coming from a Packer fan. See, this is how you know most people can't even do this or talk about this because I hate the Niners. But I hate the Niners, you feel me, because they keep beating my team. Like recently, we've been beating them. Like the Packers beat them a couple times, but not when it mattered. Not in the playoffs. They beat them actually last year on the nice, last second go ahead drive with the 29 seconds, and Rodgers threw them 2 dots, and then the field goal. But then we played in the playoffs. They lost. The year before that, they beat them in the regular season. So it's just like when it comes to the playoffs, those losses versus the Niners is just devastating. Especially last year, because I really felt like last year was the year. They had won 13 games, 3 seasons in a row, was the number 1 seed 2 years in a row, not last year, but the 2 years prior. So, and they only put up 10 points. Unacceptable. Special teams sold the bag. Like, let's just be honest here. See, this is what I'm talking about. Rodgers deserves blame because it was a couple times where you can see him where he missed other players because I don't know. After that second half, I'm going to tell you what happened. That first drive, they ran straight down there. Touchdown. Second drive, right down again. Possibly going up 14-0, 10-0 for sure. But then that fumble, and they was just never the same. And then, of course, special teams, they sold the bag. Like, I don't care what nobody say, that was a big part of it. You have to be honest here. Just because the team put up 10 points, watch this. I'm about to blow your mind right here. So people blamed him a lot because he only put up 10 points, which is true. 10 points is unacceptable. But if I recall Brady's last year in the Super Bowl versus the Rams, when the Rams was the number 1, offense in the league, at least for scoring, I think that Super Bowl was like 13-3, maybe 10-3. Somebody can, check that for me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was 13-3. And that defense stopped them and only let them score 3 points. So that means the Brady's offense only scored a touchdown in the field goal. We're talking about a Super Bowl, but that was okay since it was the Patriots and Brady. But since Aaron put up 10 points, that's a problem. You see what I'm saying? That's why I said this Hot Dimes TV, where we speaking the truth and we bringing that fire. I just hate how people do that. That just blows my mind how one player or one team, it's okay for them to do this, but when it's this player or this team, it's unacceptable. I already said it still was unacceptable. I'm agreeing that it was bad, but at the same time, they did what they were supposed to do to win the game. Football is 3 phases. You got offense, you got defense, and you got coaching. Coaching, offense, defense, and special team. And then you got, all the other stuff that matters with the coaching, offensive line, stuff like that. So when you look at offense, they did their job, but putting up points. The defense did amazing. The only touchdown they gave up was the special teams fumble recovery, and they already was in a red zone. Besides that, they gave up, a field goal or 2? So they did their job, but the special team sold the bag. But anyway, see, y'all getting me off track. Because, see, I told y'all I hate the Niners because of that. And then who else I hate? Of course, the Bears, just because from a historical, standpoint of, I believe that's the oldest rivalry in NFL, right? So just from that standpoint, I can't stand them. And then, I got family in Chicago, so it's always a fun back and forth. But it's not as bad as the Niners. Because think about whoever your team is, more than likely, of course, you don't like some division opponents, but you don't like a team because they keep beating your team. That's normally how it goes. I had this conversation with one of my boys, and he was laughing like, "Man, you right, because I can't stand such and such because that team keeps beating you. So that's why you can't beating your team. That's why you can't stand them." But with all that being said, man, I originally wanted to say shout out and prayers to Trey Lance, because I really like Trey Lance, and him getting hurt, man, that was tough. Like, even though it wasn't really going maybe as they expected, but it was still early, so you can't really judge it off that. So when he got injured, that was a blow. That really was a blow. So shout out to him. I hope he has a speedy recovery. And we're going to see what Jimmy G do now. He always get it done regardless of how you feel about him. So the Niners really, it's crazy. Think about if Jimmy G wouldn't have still been on the Niners, what they would look like right now. So shout out to them, man. I mean, Trey Lance, hope he has a quick recovery. Now we're going to go right back into something else that was crazy, because I got to update y'all. We going from, this is all from week 1, and then we're going to do week 2, since I'm just doing this all in one, since I didn't start the podcast, like I said, prior to right now. That Bills and Steelers game, how was y'all feeling, Steelers and Bengals fans? 23-20. It went into double overtime. I didn't see the game. I watched some of the highlights. Them kickers need to be fired. That's what I'm talking about with kickers, bro. Like, I understand it's hard because you only have one job. You come on the field. If you're like a quarterback and a running back, see, you throw an interception, you can get back on the field and, make up for that interception. But if you're a kicker and you miss a kick, it's not too much that's going to save you. You know what I'm saying? Because you might only get one opportunity. But come on, man. The kicks that they was missing, that's unacceptable. Y'all got to do better, G. Y'all got to do better. You know what it reminded me of? The Bengals going to like this, Bengals fans. Well, maybe not because the Bengals lost, but the Bengals and the Packers had a game like that last year where both kickers were, I'm talking about, blowing kicks left and right. I'm talking about, it wasn't even hard kicks. They missing extra points. They missing 20, 30-yard field goal chip shots. Like, what are y'all doing? And they ended up going to overtime, and I was happy my Packers was able to get the victory, I think on like a last-second field goal in overtime. That's exactly how that game kind of, as soon as I saw the highlights, I'm like, they just had a game like this last year, so I know Bengals fans was pissed, and I wonder how Bengals fans feel, because last year I feel like the Bengals overseeded expectation, but if you're a fan of them, you kind of don't want to hear that, because they did, though. Like, they really did. Like, shout out to the Bengals. They got to the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? They beat the Chiefs, which nobody could do these last couple of years, because the Chiefs went to 5 straight AFC championships. And I'm actually going to talk about the Chiefs next. But they beat them, and then they come back this year. And I think they 0-2, right? They haven't won a game, so it's like they kind of in a slump, and it's like some of the people are talking down on them. Like, oh, I told you that this was a fluke. Oh, that was a Cinderella story, which I don't agree with. I don't think that we seen the best of them like that. They're going to be fine, but they are struggling, and they need to get Joe Burrow. I thought they spent some money on the offensive line, because that's the only thing that is really holding them back. They got the best probably receiver core in the NFL, easily top 3, because you got the Bengals. They have Jamar Chase, who is a dog. They have, who else is that? Tyler Boyd. And I'm forgetting the last person. Dang, I know this. T. Higgins, yep. And then you got like the Buccaneers with Julio, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. So probably those two teams got the best, receiver and core. So hopefully they get back on track. And speaking of the Chiefs, hey, this is what I want my Packers to do. The Chiefs are looking good. They won week 1. Who they played? They played the Cardinals week 1, right? Yeah. Who was the score of that game? Yeah, 44-21. No Tyreek Hill. No problem. 44 points? 44. Game 1. Week 1. Was that on the road too? I promise you that game was on the road, wasn't it? It had to be on the road. Yeah, that game was on the road. Week 1. And then they come week 2 and they beat the Thursday night, the Chargers. They beat the Chargers, and they haven't been able to do that these last couple of times. I think that was their first victory versus them in the last 2 years, right? In the the Justin Herbert era, but that game was really on the Chargers more than the Chiefs. But the Chiefs are looking good and doing their thing without Tyreek. It's impressive. I must say it's impressive. So now let me take a little break before I get to my team. So I told y'all that I already told y'all I had the Chiefs. Not the Chiefs. What do you call them? The Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills and the Rams. The Rams for my pick. Now, of course, I would like my team to make it. Those my top. Those like my number one picks. Then this is early preseason pick. So you get the preseason pick. Early pick. Then you get once you see how the teams look, that middle of the season pick, and then the end before they go into the playoffs. So if I'm picking right now early, I said my 3 teams were for the AFC. I got the Bills, who was number 1. I got them at the top, their favorite. I got the Chiefs second because until somebody else, the NFL and people are waiting for them to drop off. People can't stand the Chiefs. That's how I go in any sports. Now, a lot of people don't like the Chiefs because when you're winning, when you're doing good, of course, people don't like you. That's just the way it goes. So I got the Chiefs second because they went to 5 straight AFC championships. Nobody has done that, I don't think, in history, not even the Patriots. So I got them second, and then third, I got the Chargers. And then I don't really have a dark horse on the AFC side. I'm trying to think. Oh, Miami, my dark horse, because oh my gosh. And matter of fact, no, I'm talking about Miami too. So don't worry, Miami fans are y'all. We got to talk about Miami. But so those are my 3 teams on the AFC side. And when I go NFC, I got the Chargers still kind of being the cream of the crop at far as the favorite. I got the Buccaneers second, and then I got my Packers third, and then my dark horse team would be the Eagles. Which you see what the Eagles are doing right now. I think they're 2-0. Jalen Hurts got everything he needs. So now it's on the coaching. It's on him to perform. They went out and got A.J. Brown. They already had Smith. Their defense looking amazing. The Buccaneers defense, they might be number 1 over the Rams because their defense is playing like it was when they went to the Super Bowl, which is scary because they have that offense still. Then they added Julio, which I don't understand why no one in the NFL picked him up. Why did y'all let him go to the Buccaneers and play with Tom Brady? How stupid can you be? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why allow that to happen? Why? Yes, I'm mad. Yes. And then you got the Packers with Aaron Rodgers, that running game. And the problem with them is going to be they're still going to do fine. They probably win the division, win the playoff game. But if those receivers don't step up, it's a lot of pressure on them, which I think Romeo Doubs, who is good, Christian Watson, and then you have Allen Lazard. Allen Lazard actually is good and underrated. He got chemistry and trust with Aaron, which we know that's a big thing. But if those receivers don't, you know what I'm saying, it's still early. That's why I said it's still early. I'm going to talk about that later. But they have to develop and perform in order for them to advance further. So those are my teams that I got. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel about my predictions. Who do you have going to the Super Bowl? Who do you have winning the AFC and the NFC? Let me know. So we're going to go right into it. Now my Packers, they lost week 1 to the Vikings. I had them losing week 1 because it's early. You're on the road. Allen Lazard, he wasn't playing. We had a couple linemen banged up. But the most important thing was Lazard wasn't playing. So I'm like, that's extra pressure on the receivers. It's week 1. Already know early in the season, like these first couple weeks, it's going to be hard for them to get rolling because the receivers still have to develop. And anytime you lose a guy like Devontae, it's going to be, he the best receiver in the NFL, in my opinion. Easily top 3, top 2. So when you lose somebody like that, it's going to be harder. See, the difference with the Chiefs is they got a little bit more people that still are like vet, like I wouldn't say vets, but they have like they're more stable. They got more stability. Like they got MVS from the Packers. They got Juju, who, you know, Juju is like an up and down. He came in, he performed, and he got a lot going on. And then, of course, they still got that man Kelsey, the best tight end in the NFL. So you're seeing them not struggle as much as Green Bay because Green Bay got 2 rookie receivers. They got Robert Tonyan, who has actually led the league in touchdowns at tight end, or tied it with Kelsey the year before. I think that not last season because he had an ACL injury. My bad, my nose itching. He had an ACL injury, but 2022, 2020, where he led the league and tied it with Kelsey. He got him. He trying to come back from that injury, so it's tougher for them. So that's why you see. I feel like then of course Andy Reid is an offensive genius, so that's why they're looking sharper earlier. So the Packers, I had them losing that game. I feel like the defense. I don't like the way they're playing defense with the zone coverage. I think the Packers got one of the better secondaries. I would say it's a top secondary with Adrian Amos, or Amos, whatever how you want to pronounce his last name. You got Darnell Savage. You have Rasul Douglas. And then you have Eric Stokes. And then you got the best corner in the league after Ramsey, Jair, who is my favorite corner. Why do you not have him shadowing Justin Jefferson? What sense does that make? You see what the Eagles just did on Monday night. Why would you not have him shadowing him? What sense does that make? We pay him all this money. If you want to play a zone type of defense, that's fine. But let Jair man up versus Justin Jefferson. They talking about, well, if we do that, it's harder for the other guys to try to find their assignments and find their spots. I'm not trying to hear that. Put that man, Jair Island, on Justin Jefferson. I promise you he's not getting 200 yards. Ain't no way. Like, come on. That doesn't make any sense, bro. I don't get it. I think it's a good moment to do some hot takes. So, hot take, Hot Dime TV. So, I got, what's the hot take? I don't know if it's really, no, we're going to come back to that. We're gonna come back to that because I think I already said it in the beginning. Oh, no, I got it. So, since we talking about my Packers, I got the Packers being a top 10 defense, and possibly my hot take is I think they might be top 5 defense, y'all. They're not going to be 1, 2, or 3, or 4. They probably be like 5th because I know they lost, what's his name, who I love a lot, Zadarius Smith to the Vikings. But when you got Jair still, you got Preston Smith, you got Rashawn Gary on the edge. He amazing. You got Kenny Clark inside the defensive line at the nose tackle. You got DeAndre Campbell and Quay Walker. I'm telling you, you heard it first right here. Quay Walker will be in the candidate, the top 3, top 2 discussion for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah, there we go. That's my hot take. Take it how you want to. Call me up my name. That's my hot take, man. So that's what I got going on. Are we going to get off of the Packers right now? They got it together week 2. They got a tough matchup next week versus the Buccaneers. And that's why I'm going to have a special guest next week. That's my boy favorite team. That's his NFL team. So I'm actually going to go link up with him. We're going to watch the game together. And he's going to be a guest on my podcast next week. So I can't wait. Look forward to that. It's going to be fire. Look forward to that next week. On to the next team. Might as well talk about the Buccaneers, right? So they open, the season. They dealing with some injuries too. They played the Cowboys and they defense held them to 3 points. America's team. Dak Prescott got hurt. Like, Dallas just... me being a Packer fan, it's funny. I don't hate Dallas like a lot of people do. I told you, I only really hate the Bears and the Niners. And for a while, the Patriots because of Brady. So, like half of America, that's how that go with that. But the Buccaneers defense looked amazing. I know it's week 1. I know it's early. But still, when your defense is playing the way it's playing, just like it was in that Super Bowl, that's a problem. And they still trying to work in, Chris Godwin because he was hurt coming off the injury. Still trying to work in Julio. Could you say Tom age probably showing now a little bit? Like, he won't be in the MVP discussion maybe. I ain't Max Kellerman talking about that whole falling off a cliff thing. I never was one of those. I'm like, as long as he playing, he going to be good. But this might be the year you possibly can say for real, like, okay, it's not as bad. I heard some people around the league and some of the different talk shows talk about how this is a good comparison, but not to the degree of what they say. I'm going to break it down. They said the Buccaneers defense and how they're playing right now is similar to when Peyton Manning got his last ring in Denver. But Peyton Manning was awful. I don't care like that. So that 2 rings, that was strictly because of the defense. He did not play good. But shout out to him. He got the 2 rings. But I wouldn't say Brady is going to be that bad or look as bad as Peyton did, but I could see like at a half, like a smaller scale, that was a good comparison because that's how good the defense playing. And Brady don't have to do much. But you hand the ball to Fournette, don't turn the ball over, just like they did with the Saints last week. That's what we're going to get into. We're going to go smooth right on into that. Let's talk about the Saints game, y'all. So we know the Saints in the last couple years always give the Buccaneers a hard time. And in the regular season, Brady hasn't, before last week, he didn't beat them. But he got it done last Sunday, even though they beat them in the playoffs the year before last to, go to the NFC Championship game. When it came to the regular, it's something about when the Saints and Buccaneers play. Oh, my gosh, y'all. When they play, it's amazing. It's amazing. And that game on Sunday, I watched every bit of it. That game on Sunday, 20-10. See, this is where I want to go with the Buccaneers, though, where it's still, it's the defense. So anybody that watched that Buccaneers game, they know it was amazing. But Jameis Winston sold the bag. All you have to do is not turn the ball over. Don't turn the ball over. That's the same thing. This one is bad. The former player that a former teammate who Winston played with, they love him and, stuff like that. But I know that was demoralizing when you play on defense and you playing amazing as they did and your quarterback going to turn the ball over. This is what Devin White said. He said, shout out to Jameis, no disrespect, I love him, but we knew he was going to turn the ball over. If that ain't disrespectful, I don't know what he said. He said we knew he was going to turn the ball over. All we had to do was just basically not turn the ball over. They out there playing safe. They out there just doing what they want to do because they like, we don't got to turn the ball over. And the turning point of that game was that fight. Mike Evans don't like Marshawn Lattimore. I know it was a cheap shot. Hey, he throwing too many cheap shots though. But I like Mike Evans and I like Lattimore. But bro, you're not gonna keep hitting me off guard like that. Like so that he out of order for that. But neither here or there. I like the way he protected his quarterback because he did the same thing when Winston was there. But he just leveled Lattimore. He do not like him. But that's when the game changed. That was a turning point in the game. It seemed like the Saints could not shake back after that. The Saints could not shake back after that. I don't know what happened. I don't know what they was doing. But after that game was over, Jameis Winston threw 3 picks, y'all. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it 3 picks in the second half? Or maybe he threw 1 before the end of the second half. It was just like a toss-up, so maybe it didn't matter. But he basically essentially threw 2 pick sixes. That was already in the red zone. What are you... And there was horrible passes. That's my problem with Jameis. Just like when he was with the Buccaneers. I loved him in college, too. Oh, my... Like, coming out of college, they were saying him or Mariota. I'm like, it's Jameis all day. But... the prime example, perfect example with Jameis, the Buccaneers wasn't even a bad team. The year before Brady came, I think I'm right, that's the year they had Deshaun Jackson, right? And that defense was already good. But like Devin White said, he knew they was going to turn the ball over. So it was to no avail. 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. And I think they still made the playoffs that year. Didn't they make it as a wild card? Or they might have just missed it. And then you get the next year, you get him off the team. But you do bring in more than just Brady. So people got to realize it wasn't just Brady, though. Just like with the Rams, that's a perfect example. People got to stop acting like it was just those two. No, they brought in Brady, which is, of course, a significant upgrade from Winston, just from the turnover standpoint and the way Brady think in his mind and what he do. But then they also brought Gronk in, who's considered probably the best tight end in history or easily in the top 3. They brought in Leonard Fournette. They brought in Antonio Brown. So that was too easy. And you saw the next year the Rams do the same thing. They brought in Stafford, who was an upgrade from Goff. I wasn't one of those people who, even with me being a Packer fan, I knew Stafford can ball. He was balling with Detroit. He always had good stats, but the Detroit never helped him enough. They never gave him a team. Now, I'm not saying I don't think Matt Stafford's still in the convo like a Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, stuff like that, but he still get enough to where you surround him with talent. You win. We just seen 2 years in the NFL back to back where a team brings a quarterback unloads, picks, do everything. Basically go all in. We just seen that work 2 years in a row now. I don't think people are talking about that enough. With the Buccaneers and with the Rams, we just seen that 2 weeks in a row where the Rams, they brought in Stafford. They went to go get Odell. They already had Cooper Kupp and Jefferson, I think that's his name. He not even bad out the slot. I think they had Von Miller, right? Then they went over the top and said, we're going to get Odell too. Case closed. That's GG's. The game is over. So it's crazy how we just seen that 2 years in a row. Sorry, I got off topic a little bit, but we saw that 2 years in a row, and then back to the I can't even that just messed me up. Back to what I was saying about the Buccaneers with Jameis Winston, where you can't turn the ball over, Jameis, especially the turnovers you did. And then with all that being said, the score was only 20-10. So they still had a chance to win. The Saints got a nasty defense. They have a top 5 defense. And you see how that offense is looking with Michael Thomas. He looking back. I got him in one of my fantasy leagues. And man, was it a great pick. I got him late too. I'm like, okay, I'm looking at who on the board. I'm like, I'll go ahead and snag Thomas. I didn't think he was going to even be ready week 1. I didn't start on week 1, but I still ended up winning. It wasn't even close. But week 2, he came through in the clutch. And he caught a couple garbage passes and that touchdown that they got saved me. So he already looking like Michael Thomas week 1. Chris, I think his name is Chris Olave, right? He already looking good because the Packers was looking at picking him up. So he a good receiver. Alvin Kamara didn't even play on Sunday. He didn't even play Sunday, and they still look good. So the problem with the Saints is Jameis Winston and them turnovers. That's the problem with that. So then you have the Chargers. I mentioned them earlier. The Chargers, when it comes to being a team on paper, you could probably say maybe besides the Bills that they have the best team on paper. They got Austin Eckler. They went to go get Khalil Mack. They already got Bosa. They got J.C. Jackson. They got, what's the other safety? Derwin James, Justin Herbert, Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen. So when it comes to on paper, they got it. But it's just about Herbert, which I think he's going to be one of them. Like when Mike Rodgers retire, Brady retire, it's going to be Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Justin Herbert. I think those are going to be the 3 cream of the crop, the top dogs. So it's basically just on him seeing, how he going to develop and how they play once the playoffs come. Because I think they'll make it this year, and I think they can win a game. So it easily can win a game. It's just about how far they going to go. So talked about the Saints in Tampa already. I think I'm about to wrap this up. Hey, we 37 minutes in on the first podcast. I said I was going to do at least 30. I done made it almost 45 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and level it out. I think about 45 minutes. We're going to close it with two more. Oh, no. I ain't talking about something yet. Yeah, we're going to keep this going. The Dolphins. Okay, so who did they play week 1? Because I can't remember who they played week 1. I can't remember. Okay, they played the Patriots. Okay, yeah, that was a good game. They won. I don't want to talk about that. No, I want to talk about the Ravens game. The Ravens, I think that was up what? They were blowing them out. I know they was up by like 3 touchdowns at the half. And I think going into the fourth quarter, they still was up like 21 points. And then this is a problem, see, with Miami. Now, I'm going to be honest, because I said this is Hot Dimes Podcast, Hot Dimes TV, where we bring the heat to fire and we keep it 100. So Tua, he making me a believer. Now, I'm not saying he was garbage, he was sweet, he was trash. What I didn't think, though, that he can possibly do. Now, Tyreek Hill was I think he kind of going overboard. You protect your quarterback. You're supposed to say some of the stuff that, that he's saying about Tua talking about how he's, what did he say? I don't think he said he was better than Mahomes. He said he throws a better deep ball. Okay, that's cool. He probably just throwing unnecessary shots, but Tua actually is looking good. Better than what I thought he would do. If Tua can play like he did on last Sunday, bro, Miami got too much speed. I think they got Raheem Mostert, too. Is that how you pronounce his last name? They got him from the Niners. Then Jalen Waddle already played good last year. Then you bring Tyreek Hill next to him. They probably the 2 fastest receivers in the NFL on the same team. So it's like you got to play that defense how people play Kansas City, where they try to keep you in front of them to cover two safeties over the top. You can't do nothing else. You got to keep everything in front of you, because then they tight end Mike what's his Jaseski or something like that. He fast too. It's too much speed on the field. They never out of a game. They can score quick if they get up on you. And then if they get down by a lot, even though I know the Ravens, I feel like blew the bag. Shout out to the Dolphins still for doing their thing. They 2-0. Jalen, like I said, did I say Jalen Hill earlier? I don't think I did, but like I said, Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is that dude. We already know about Tyreek. So now you bring them together and it's opening up every week. Like Jalen Waddle did amazing week 1. They both did amazing last week. Now this week, even though it's early and it don't tell everything, we gonna tell a lot. It's gonna tell a lot because I think they play. Don't they play the Bills? See, I'm going off the top of my head. I tell you, I do this, y'all. I know. Yes. Oh my. Why is that not the game of the week? I'm not even gonna be able to watch that full game. But they play the Bills, y'all. So this is gonna be a big test because, like I said, I got the Bills at the top of dog for both conferences, and I got them favorited. So we gonna see that game gonna be amazing. So shout out to Miami Dolphins because I don't know what the Ravens doing. That's not even a blueprint like John Harbaugh. They not known for, they run the football. That's their formula. They play great defense. They run the football. So if you're up by how much they were up by, what are y'all doing? How do y'all let that happen where they come back? I don't know. It's crazy. Shout out to Miami Dolphins for doing their thing, man. Anything else that I missed I want to talk about? I don't really think. The Colts, oh my, what are the Colts doing? 24-0. That's unacceptable. To the Jaguars, too? Like, come on, man. Come on. Come on, man. Ain't that what he be saying on it? Come on. The Vikings, Eagles, they looked good. Like I said, Eagles looked good. Was that Monday Night Football. Darius Slay shut down Justin Jefferson. He shut down Justin Jefferson. Like, he shadowed him. He did his job. Kirk Cousins looked like Kirk Cousins again. He too up and down. Like, when you look at Kirk Cousins' stats, I promise you, if you do a blindfold test and you look at Kirk Cousins' stats of the last, 2 or 3 years, you would think he was like Brady, Rodgers, or Mahomes. But then he just have games like Sunday or Monday night where it's like, what are you doing? So, I'm going to go ahead and end this, man. It's been amazing. Like I said, we're going to do a recap. Who played tonight? I think we got the Browns and the Steelers tonight for Thursday Night Football. So I didn't really look too much into it off the top of my head. If I'm going to go with a prediction, think the Browns, they played the Jets last week, and the Jets, they looked good. Wilson is a dog. The Browns at home, they might get them. I might go Browns. I'll post a short too where where I make a prediction. I got the Browns winning 24-21. I'll pick the Browns 24-21. I'll be back next week. Like I said, I got a special guest with my dog. I ain't even going to say his name yet, but it don't matter. He's going to be here. He a Buccaneers fan. I'm a Packer fan. That's a big game Sunday. It's probably going to be the game of the week. Ollie, let me get my predictions for next week. Some big games next week. Let me get my predictions. So you got the Packers and the Bears. Not the Packers and the Bears. The Packers and the Buccaneers. So this is interesting. I think I'm gonna make a separate video, like a short of my predictions for the week. But I just want to do this game because, like I said, Packers my team. I got a special guest next week. He gonna be talking with me about the Buccaneers game. So, and a lot of other stuff, of course, but we're gonna talk about that a lot. So if I had to pick, okay, this is the problem. It's a big test. It means more for Green Bay than the Buccaneers. Because if you remember, they beat the Packers in the championship game, and then they beat them last time. Packers went to Buccaneers. It was like, I think in the middle, like week 5 or something last time, and it was horrible. I think the score was like 38-5, 40, like it was 45-7, something like that. It was bad. And Rodgers alluded to it after they beat the Bears. He had an interview, a quick little, after the game interview, and he said like, it's going to be a big test because Tom Brady is still Tom Brady. They defense playing the best in the NFL, probably besides the Bills. The Packers still are trying to get it together. The big thing with the Packers this year is going to be using both those running backs because I think they got the best running back duo in the league besides probably the Browns with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. They have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon who are – yes, they like that. They really like that. But And then we got our offensive lineman back. We got Lazard back. So it's like we still dealing with some injuries, but the Buccaneers dealing with a lot too because you have Mike Evans, who I think got suspended, so he not playing. We don't know the status of Chris Godwin. We don't know the status of Julio. They both didn't play last week. They got some of their offensive line banged up. So, but the thing where it's still going to even out is because you have the Packers still trying to get their offense together versus that defense, which is going to be tough on the road early in the season. So it's not, it's not a good time. Maybe it's ideal to play them because of what's going on with them at the moment. Like I said, since they got a lot of stuff going on too, so it's a perfect game for both teams. Kind of like but it means more to Green Bay, and I think it's a bigger test for them. So with all that being said, I'm nervous about. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous about Sunday. Man, I don't want to. I'm trying to keep my head out of it. I'm trying to not be. What's the word I'm looking for? I can't even think of the word that we always use when you favor the team. Or I'm not trying to be biased. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to stay. Is it subjective or objective? Which one is it? Somebody let me know. So if I had to make a pick, I'm gonna go with this is gonna be big next week if I get this wrong or right, because this would be funny, a little funny thing we can make fun of each other because we always do that. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the pass rush is going to determine a lot. The defense with the receivers. Now, if Julio Jones and Chris Godwin don't play, if one of them play, it's big. But if both of them don't play, I think that the Packers can get that victory. And I think they'll win. They're not going to put too many points up. I can't see it because that defense is amazing. I will go with 21-17. 21-17 Green Bay. That's my predictions. Like I said, I'm going to do this podcast weekly. It's going to be on the Red app. See, because I'm posting this everywhere, so I can't just, say stuff. Because the social media, you got to be smart. They don't like you giving too much credit everywhere. This is going to be on the Red app. Y'all know what that is. It's going to be on that blue app with the F. And it's going to be on that black app with the trends and all the dances. So I'm putting this on everywhere. I'm going to do daily posts, daily, quick little shorts, quick little, videos or something like that. But the podcast itself will be done weekly on Tuesdays, Wednesdays at the latest because, I want to give a recap of the Sunday games. And then, you have that Monday Night Football. So I hope you all enjoyed this. This been a blast, man. 47 minutes on the first podcast by myself. You got to be cold to do this, man. You got to be talented. I'm here talking by myself. Because to be honest, y'all, I'm kind of crazy up here. I really can do this. I really be talking to myself and I be responding. That's how you know you crazy. When you talk to yourself and you respond, don't tell nobody else, though. But I'm crazy. I do this. This your host. This your boy, Tez. Man, it's been a great episode. Hot Dimes TV. Hot Dimes Podcast. We bring that fire and we keep it 100. I see y'all next week. Y'all have a good week, man.